In this interview, I'm going to be talking to energy economist Ed Hurst of the University of Houston, and we're going to be talking about uh, President Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill, or as we call it here at Energy Media, the hugely craptastic bill. So, welcome to the interview, Ed.
Thank you, Markham.
Well, I've kind of tipped our viewers off as to how we think about this bill. And I want to start at the, sort of 35,000 foot level, at the global level, because whether you liked former President Joe Biden's energy policies and strategies or not, at least it was coherent. And this, I would say, in the last 6 months since Trump became president, it's incoherent. And this bill reflects that incoherence. Would you agree?
Well, I think the bill reflects, certainly almost the entire tenor of the administration. Um, the certainly the one big beautiful bill um, has kind of changed the direction, has changed the direction on energy development across the United States. And in Trump 1.0, there was nothing really there to federally pursue advance renewable energy, but a lot was done at the state level. And most of the folks I've been talking to in the renewable energy side, the wind and the solar fellows, they're going to go ahead. Certainly, I guess sunsetting of the tax benefits and provisions won't occur until 27. That gives them a lot of time to build out huge facilities. Texas has benefited just dramatically with massive solar farms coming online every day. And the way the electricity markets are structured, this volatility and the fact that solar is really the fastest that can be deployed, much faster now than natural gas. Nobody's building coal, and for all everybody talks about it, nobody's building nuclear either. And with the rise in data centers across the nation, coal plants retiring just simply because they're old, the solar's going to go in, and it may be able to go toe to toe with everybody else.
One of that, from our point of view, looking at the American energy policy landscape, it's I think Trump has this vague idea that China has emerged as the first electrostate, and it has become the geopolitical opponent to the U.S., just like Russia was during the Cold War. And Trump is thinking that because the U.S. is the largest oil and gas producer in the world by a far, actually, that is the U.S.'s competitive advantage. And it's willing to say, okay, China can have electricity and electrify things all at once, but we're going to stick with oil and gas because that is how our energy dominance. And what's your take on that? Have I got that right?
I'm not certain, but this administration is not long on nuance and strategic perspective. One thing the big beautiful bill did do is it provided benefits to coal producers in the U.S. Well, U.S. consumption of coal is down. So actually, we're sending a lot of our coal to India and to China. So we're giving them a bit of a break on that. The benefits that have inured to oil and gas, the turning back of the alternative minimum tax, extending some of the tax benefits, some expenses, some accelerated expenses. This has been good for oil and gas, but still keep it, and the rollback of the methane regulations. That's something that's ongoing. It's helped the industry. But nothing helps the industry like having another $20 a barrel of price on top of it. And as we see, the rig count is down by about 4 dozen now over this time last year. The number of permits is down by more than 40% month over month, June of last year to this June. So, if the rig count's a leading indicator of oil production, then the permit count is a leading indicator of rig counts. All the oil field services are retrenching dramatically right now. Yeah, OPEC's announced increased production. There's not much that's going to happen to really help oil and gas across the board here yet.
And this is an important point that I've picked up over the years interviewing American experts like yourself. And that is that the American government doesn't actually have a lot of influence over whether the oil industry pumps more or pumps less. Essentially, 25% of leases are on federal land. That leaves most 75% in on private lands. And really, it comes down to the price of oil. And that is the determining factor about whether the oil industry is going to expand or contract.
It always does. There were actually some stories coming out of the administration that there was going to be a setup of a sovereign wealth fund that would come in and joint venture in drilling and developing some fields, but the industry pushed back against that. It's one thing to have a government telling you what to do. It's quite another to have the government coming in and competing against you. At this point, the last thing the industry needs is more domestic production to drive the price down.
And what are we going to see in terms of some of the Biden Inflation Reduction Act incentives and so on? Some of them are going to survive. Most of them will be rolled back or and maybe phased out around 2026, 2027. But how big a blow is this to the electricity sector and particularly on the renewable sector?
Well, the Biden administration had really ramped up import tariffs on the solar panels, such that the U.S. actually has some companies that broke ground to build solar panel manufacturing facilities. The Trump administration has not changed that. Um, it's there are an awful lot of vectors at play here, and so the Trump administration, he doesn't want any wind turbines, and well, I'll digress for a second. God bless the Scots who just announced 300 wind turbines off of the shore of his new golf course. Anyway, the steel tariffs, 50% and higher, depending upon which country it's coming from, is going to be really, really difficult to get by. That's driving up the cost of everything in manufacturing and construction. We need steel to put the solar panels out in the field. We need the steel to drill wells. That's driven the price of oil wells in the Permian up 5 to 12%. The long laterals require nothing but steel. Um, that's a challenge. And so there are many things kind of converging that are going to be a problem. The one big beautiful bill, by extending the Trump tax cuts from his first term, and by cutting back government expenditures and the Doge cutbacks and the cutbacks across universities and healthcare expenditures, this is really being disruptive across the entire U.S. economy. We know that he dispatched the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he didn't like her scorekeeping. We know he does that routinely at golf as well. But eventually, he runs out of golf balls on the golf course, and eventually the data show up. And so, anecdotally, gleaning data from state employment offices across the U.S., which anybody can do now, we're looking at much larger unemployment rolls. We're looking at tremendous inflation, and because of the tariff war, we're seeing less goods on the shelves.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because a lot of we talk about this often at Energy Media is that when you're rounding up illegal immigrant workers, many of them work at ports. Many of them work in industries, like trucking and so on. So
In
is
Texas, in California, they're home builders that can't finish the houses.
Yes, I absolutely believe that. Maybe we could wrap up the interview this way, Ed. And it's still early days, and I think you alluded to that, is that, the data is the effects of the tariffs are beginning on the American economy now. The data is beginning to come in, but it looks like it's going to get much worse over the immediate term. So is it fair to say that the hugely craptastic bill has set in motion forces that will really show up 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the road?
I think it's showing up now, and we're going to see a real cutback in spending over the last half of this year. Apparel costs going up 40%. A lot of the U.S. apparel is imported. Computer cost, iPhones. I mean, this targeting of Apple in particular. Now, the president's supposed to make an announcement today that Apple is going to invest $100 billion into U.S. manufacturing, presumably. Maybe that will get them out of this pointed tariff. And keep in mind, there's a court case pending that's going to go to the Supreme Court. Trump's implementation use of the tariffs is really just not constitutional. He has the right to impose 15% tariffs on occasion, but for no more than 6 months at a time. And so going further is the Court of International Trade is ruled as inappropriate, as non-constitutional. It's clearly a tax on consumers, and the Constitution gives that authority to tax and to levy import duties to the Congress. Now, keep in mind, this nation got kicked off with the Boston Tea Party. We were complaining about tariffs on tea.
Ed, thank you very much. We will be revisiting this issue in the weeks and months ahead because it is not going away. And what happens to the American energy system and, by extension, power grids and the economy are a big issue up here in Canada. So thank you very much for this.
My pleasure. Thank you.